Oh, Scream. Once upon a time, this franchise was absolutely incredible. From the mighty Goliath it once was to the mess it is now, it's truly sad to see. I actually think the critics were right on this one, and I think a 30% is actually being pretty generous for the slop this movie was. Let's get into the issues that I found. And the first problem is the main characters have triple plated titanium plot armor equipped. There are no real consequences and thus no real stakes for anyone who isn't the meatbags whose sole purpose is to be killed to propel this sad excuse of a plot forward. At the end of Scream 6, I can logically accept Gale Weathers surviving. But this guy right here, he got worked like a pinata at a kid's birthday party. And not by just one killer with a large knife, but two of them repeatedly stabbing him in the torso. I counted roughly 10 or so stab wounds total between both killers. Now, I'm no medical doctor here, but the torso is where we store a large amount of our organs. One of the stab wounds you see during the attack is a kidney shot, among several other areas that you'd think would be life-threatening or at least leave you with severe issues the rest of your life. But nope. At the end of 6, he is coherent and seems actually pretty alright, all things considered. And in Scream 7, he's in tip-top shape, completely fine, facing no real-world ramifications after such a brutal attack. Not only does this movie suffer from nostalgia baiting and lazy writing, but the characters' actions are so incredibly stupid. Now, where do you think would be a safe and secure location for all your friends to meet up to try and discover who among that group of ragtag misfits is the killer? Would it be at a location that isn't completely deserted and in close proximity to an armed police officer? Or would it be in the middle of a town that is currently completely empty due to a mandated curfew, where nobody knows you're there, with all people who are suspected to be killers? Well, if you guessed vacated bar isolated from people and the presence of police, then you chose the correct answer. They actually do that. They choose to purposefully ditch the father, who is the chief of police, and to discreetly meet at an isolated bar. They make the deliberate choice not to tell anyone outside of the group that go there, who are all literally suspected to be the killer or killers. And you'll never guess what happens. They all die. Of course, besides anyone in the main cast, they have unbreakable plot armor equipped. Let's be real though, how much help would he really offer, considering he is absolutely a fool who falls for an extremely obvious trap? This character is supposed to be the cream of the crop, yet he is lured into an under construction section of his home like a Metal Gear Solid NPC, and goes into the area following the sound of a fallen toolbox. And not surprisingly, he is ambushed. He is stabbed in the chest several times, but thankfully our boy is strapped up extra tight with plot armor and actually lives after presumably hours of bleeding out. Now on to Sydney, and specifically one scene that really caught my attention. A scene in which her and her daughter Tatum enter a completely impenetrable panic room. Shortly after entering, and after the killer begins to walk away, they enter a thin wall that connects through an open back door to the panic room. And so the killer hears them, of course, and begins to attack them inside the wall with a knife. With an aluminum bat, Sydney taps a stainless steel blade like it's a pesky piece of thin sheet metal and bends it completely into a 90-degree angle, putting that mom strength to work and defying basic physics. In absence of the now destroyed blade, the killer uses a fire poker. But all that to say, why would you A, have a panic room in the first place if you're not going to use it? B, why take Tatum? She asks once, maybe twice to go with Sydney, and Sydney asks like she's really bending her arm. Tell her absolutely not. Don't leave this absolutely safe, pure metal panic room under any circumstance would be the logical answer to that question. Not, okay, fine. That is being an incredibly stupid person to let her go through the walls with you, let alone going through the walls while the killer is literally 5 feet away. It's obviously not the characters who are at fault. They're not autonomous humans, but actors fulfilling the stupid script these lazy, unskilled writers throw at them. It's mostly nostalgia baiting. It's, oh, look at familiar character doing and saying familiar thing, attempting to cash out on the bloated corpse that is the Scream franchise. You have the original house. You have Stu from the first movie. It's Gale fucking Weathers for the 12th time. All of it just a callback to a previous movie, a previous scene that we have seen many times before. This entire franchise is just callbacks now. All originality is gone. What once made this franchise amazing and unique has now become the very thing that makes this 7th installment utter trash, a waste of time and resources. A 30% Rotten Tomato score is way too kind. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Movies are my passion, so I'll be making more videos. I do stream on Twitch, and I play video games there, obviously. All right. Thanks. Bye.